Are you thinking about becoming a backyard beekeeper or a hobbyist beekeeper, but don't know how to start, what it's going to cost, how to do it? Stick around. This series of videos will explain just that. All right, backyard beekeeping. What is beekeeping? Well, beekeeping summed up in really quickly is managing a hive. Or hives, if that's the way you choose to go. I started in the beekeeping 3 years ago. I am not a professional beekeeper. I am a hobbyist at best. I've done some good things, some bad things. I'm hoping to share my mistakes with you so that you don't make the same mistakes. And the idea of this video is to come with the brand new beekeeper, and what I'll do is I'll make the videos and try to stay ahead of you. So if you're just getting into bees, we'll go through what is required, when it's required, and I'll try to help you through the steps of becoming a backyard beekeeper. So let's get into it. If you are allergic to bees, or you require an EpiPen, or if you have a very serious allergic reaction, this might not be the hobby for you. You will get stung. I've been stung a few times over the past 3 years. Every time I can honestly say it was my own fault. I dropped the frame, or I bumped the hive, or I didn't smoke them. But normally it's not something that you get stung. You don't get stung very often, but you should know that you are dealing with thousands of bees at any given time. Eventually, you probably are going to get stung. So right off the bat, you're going to need some bees. I live in Canada, Alberta. This is the second week of January, so it is the time right now where you probably should be looking at securing your bees. So once again, the earlier that you can get a hold of the bee suppliers, or a professional bee breeder or beekeeper, or if you have a club nearby, now's the time to be securing those bees. We've got lots of time to go through the equipment. I'll help you get it all set up, but early January, February, this is the time that you want to be putting your deposit on your bees, or at least letting them know that you're interested and that you want bees. How do you get your bees? So there's a number of different ways. You can buy a package of bees. So a package of bees can come in a tube or in a screen package. I don't have any. I've never bought a package of bees. I've bought nukes and colonies, but I've never bought a package of bees. But a package of bees, let's talk about cost. That's something else that you're gonna have to consider. So I'll give you some ideas of the cost of this stuff as we go through as well. So up here in Alberta, in Canada, a package of bees is gonna cost you probably anywhere from about $150 to $200. That doesn't come with any equipment. Once again, that'll just be 3 to 4 pounds of bees, a queen bee, and a little bit of syrup to keep them going. The next way you can get bees is a nuke. So that's what these are. These are all different nukes. I'll go through each one of them as we do it. But a nuke basically consists of anywhere from 4 to 6 frames. So in a nuke, you're going to have a frame of comb. And when you buy a nuke, you'll have probably 3 frames of bees and brood. So there'll be eggs, there'll be larvae, there'll be bees. And of course, on each side of that, to fill these up, you're going to find, so 3 frames of bees. You're going to have probably 2 to 3 frames of honey and pollen. This is what the bees will feed on, and the nutrients they need in order to build the colony up. And of course, you'll have a queen bee in there. So that's usually what you'll find in a nuke. And a nuke here in Alberta, Canada, they vary once again. Anywhere from about $200 to $350, depending where you're at, how late you wait in the season. So once again, if you can secure those bees now, that's what you want to do. The next way you can purchase bees is you can purchase the whole hive. In this case, you'll have to usually supply the equipment. You'll buy it off of a bee breeder, and it'll either be an 8 or a 10 frame hive here. Most of the times the hives I'm talking about are a Langstroth hive, but you'll have probably 5 to 6 frames of bees and brood in there. And then the rest of the frames, the 3 to 5 frames will be honey, pollen, and usually just some combs so that they can get built up in there. And of course, you'll have your queen bee. If you're going to buy a hive, they get a little bit more expensive, but everything is there. You're basically established. You just have to relocate them to your apiary or the location where you're going to keep your bees. These are usually anywhere from about $300 to $500. I've even seen them as high as $550 Canadian for a hive. But once again, everything's there. It's established. As soon as the flowers start to blossom, you're in business. You're ready to go. So that's basically, I guess, how you can get your bees in your hives. You set up. Most of the time, and I think the most common way you're going to find are the nukes. So all of these nukes are, this is a 5-frame nuke, this is a 5-frame nuke, this is a 6-frame nuke. So in any of those, like I say, 3 frames of bees, a queen bee, and 2 to 3 frames of pollen and honey. And they're all pretty much come the same. This is one that if you're going to buy it, of course, you're going to have to pay for the nuke as well, unless you build your own and you supply it to your supplier. Most of the time, they'll come in something like this. This is a plastic. It's called an easy nuke. On top of the price of your bees, you'll probably pay anywhere from $15 to $20 for this box to transport it. It's as you can see, this one's been used. These are usually a single time use. This one here I got off of a buddy of mine. We've kept it in fairly good shape and it's clean. But if he was to decide to sell a nuke or give a nuke away, he could easily use this box. This is one that you can purchase. So we have some bee suppliers up here in Alberta. What is there? There is Bee Made. It's kind of the bee co-op up here, if you will. A lot of the commercial bee suppliers all belong to the co-op. It makes an easy way to sell your honey, your pollen, your propolis, your royal jelly, things like that. Hive World, there's, what's another one? Worker and Hive, I think, is down around Calgary, Alberta. I try to support the local companies as best as I can. Just for the simple reason is they're local. Support your bee clubs, support the local companies as best you can, and they'll be there to support you if or when need be. This one here, as you can see, I've painted them all up. I like to try and protect them from the weather. We have a fairly harsh environment up here in Alberta, so you'll find a lot of my stuff. This is a waterproof log cabin paint, so it stands up really good to the UV rays out of the weather. So you can paint it out of pretty much anything you want. Some people just, they'll dip them in wax. Some people will use linseed oil. Any water-based paint works just fine. I'll open these up. So they usually consist of about a lid. Inside of them you'll have the frames. I just put a couple blank frames in here so that you can see. And of course it's all open in the bottom. Any of these nukes, like this is one that you purchased, you'll see on the back, this is very important, and I'll explain why. You need to make sure there's good ventilation in your nukes. So this one here, being as it is a commercially made nuke, there's lots of ventilation in the front, but you have to block this off when you go to pick it up because, of course, you don't want your bees coming out in the back of your truck or in your car. I brought my first few nukes home and my wife's Ford Escape. I wanted to make sure they all stayed in the nukes and didn't join me up in the driver's seat. But ventilation is very important. You have to make sure that there's lots of ventilation. You don't want them to get too hot. But the most important one is you don't want them to suffocate. You're blocking them all in, so you don't want it airtight. You want to be able to make sure that there's enough air movement in there that they can all breathe. So over and top the cost of your bees, if you're going to buy a nuke box like this from the supplier, this nuke box is probably going to cost you about $50. Okay. This one here, this is one that I made. So this is just made out of 3/8 plywood. Once again, different ways to do it. Out of a sheet of 3/8 plywood, I think I made 5 of these, and it's very much the same as the bottom one. The difference is I think a sheet of 3/8 plywood cost me $38 or $42 or something like that. And of course I got 5 of these, but it's kind of the exact same thing. Comes with a lid. Um, five frame nuke, so you can see there's 5 frames in there. And I built this one up a little bit just so that you can see. So some foundation and stuff like that in there. You'll notice this is black foundation. I like black foundation for the nukes and my brood chambers. It just makes it really easy when you're looking for the eggs and the larvae. They show up really good against the black background. Once again, a way to block them in. I just got the entry reducers or the entry blocks off of Amazon. I think I got 10 of those for $5. And then of course, lots of ventilation in the back. Once again, you want to make sure that the bees, while they're being transported, can be well ventilated. So cheaper way to go, even better yet. So like I say, with all of this beekeeping, you can basically make it as expensive as you want or as cheap as you want. And then of course the hives, if you're gonna buy a whole hive, well that's exactly that. So you're gonna have to either build your hives. I got a box back here I'll go through afterwards. But you can buy a basic hive kit from any of those suppliers. Once again, I'm not sponsored by any of these suppliers. You can get them off of Amazon. You can get them from any of the places locally in town. We have a few different local bee suppliers right here at my local town. Anywhere in Alberta, you can find them on the web. Kijiji, they're pretty much everywhere. If you want, message me down below and I can send some links if you are in my neck of the woods. So once again, up here in Alberta, I can send you some links as to where you can get some of this equipment. You can buy one of those basic kits pretty much anywhere. Princess Auto has them. PV Mart here in Alberta has them. Once again, any of those bee suppliers, Kijiji, Amazon, they're everywhere out there. So take a look around, find something that fits your budget, and then away it goes. You're gonna find that kit anywhere from about, I'm gonna say $100 to about $150. And that's just gonna get you the basics. When the honey flowing starts like that and your hive starts to build up, you're gonna need a super, which is gonna be another one that goes up top. That's probably gonna run you about another $50 plus the frames inside. I've got a box of them in the back there I can show you, but basically this frame, the wooden part is probably gonna be $1.35, and the plastic foundation is probably gonna be about $1.50 as well. So depends whether you go with an 8 frame hive or a 10 frame hive. This is a frame, so self-explanatory. You'll just need the same number of whatever you have in there. What else do you need? Actually, what we should do is we should also say, if you're not in a big hurry, the other way to get them is to get your bees is a lot of times you'll see on the internet, they'll call them freebies. You can use a hive trap, which is what this is right back here. Takes a little bit longer, not guaranteed. So anytime a hive or anything like that isn't managed properly, they will expand or they'll grow to the point where they can't, not enough room in their hive. Half the bees and the queen will then come up and leave in the form of a swarm. And if you've got a swarm trap set up and you're lucky enough, you can bait it. Well, I'll show you some of that later on in a video as well. But if you're lucky enough to catch the bees, of course, they don't cost you a thing. So you can see there's lots of different ways to get started in this. It all depends as how quickly you want to go and how quickly you want to build your hive. Personally, I'm a little bit of an instantaneous gratification kind of guy. So I've purchased the nukes. I found that's worked out best for me. Some of the other equipment that you're going to need as you're going forward, you're going to need some protective equipment, whether that is a full bee suit. That's what I use. Once again, the full bee suit's going to cost you probably about $100, $150, depending as to the quality you get. Probably a set of gloves. Some people use gloves, some people don't. Once again, that's each person's preference. I like the gloves. I don't like to get stung. This year, I do find the gloves, as they get a little bit dirty, they get a little bit sticky. So I'm probably not going to be using the gloves as much this year, but not having that protective equipment, I'm fully expected to maybe get stung on my fingers or hands a little bit more as well. Set of gloves going to run you 15 to 18 bucks type thing. So that's pretty much it as far as what you're going to need for equipment right off the bat to get going, and what you're going to need for gear. Oh, I guess I missed a hive tool. A hive tool isn't a lot of money either. You're probably looking at $15 to $20 once again, depending as to whether you get it locally or Amazon or so on and so forth. So depending as the way you go, if you're handy with woodworking tools, you can build your nuke box relatively cheap, get it off to wherever you're going to purchase your supplier, or wherever you're going to purchase your bees, get it off to your supplier. It's going to save you about $50 from buying a nuke box. Once again, it doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be expensive, it just needs to work. But if you want to purchase the nuke box, that's a great purchase as well. So if you look at your bees, your starter equipment, your starter hive, and your tools you're going to need. So roughly, in order to get started in beekeeping, you're probably looking on average of $600 to $1,000 if you purchase everything. You don't have to. Once again, if you were to build it all and you try to catch some free bees, you could get into backyard beekeeping for probably $200 or $300. It's going to take a little bit longer, but if that's what meets your budget and it gives you time to read up and learn a little bit more, that works as well. So that's pretty much where it's at. A few other things that you might want to consider. Once again, these videos are going to be, I'm going to try and get them out every couple weeks. There'll be a little bit more than just talking. This first one is a lot of talking, just to kind of go through and explain, if you are interested in getting into beekeeping, what you can expect financial-wise, equipment-wise. The other thing you're probably going to want to look for, once again, if you've got a local bee club, that's great. If not, there's lots of books out there. Up here, once again, in Western Canada, they actually make a Beekeepers for Western Canada book. It's great. It goes through and kind of explains the life cycle of the bees, what's required, when you need to do it. There's what they call the Beekeeper's Calendar in there. So that's a really good book. Once again, there's lots on Amazon. All of these beekeeping or bee supply places will have all sorts of books. And of course, YouTube. I would say out of the last 2 years, I got more information off of YouTube, which is exactly why I'm making this one, to try and help everybody out even a little bit more. But there is a ton of information on YouTube, and you're going to find most of the YouTubers out there be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So, if you're looking for that information, that's great. If there is a beekeeper club or a local beekeeper, professional beekeeper, or hobbyist beekeeper ask them. If you can find a mentor that can come over and help you inspect your hive or point you in the right direction, sometimes there's no substitute for somebody that's right there to help you out. So that's pretty much, I guess, what you're going to need. Once again, we're second week of January, so if you are thinking about getting into beekeeping, start researching out there, look on Kijiji, contact the bee supply stores, contact your local beekeepers if you have them. You're really going to want, this time of year, you're going to want to secure that package of bees, nuke of bees, or hive of bees, however you're going to purchase them. They're going to go quickly. Bees are in demand. They're a great hobby. I can't say enough about them. I've been thoroughly enjoying, becoming a beekeeper and learning everything. And really, it's kind of a great community to get involved in. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to keep the videos, try to keep them under 30 minutes long. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. If you're going to follow along with me throughout the 2021 bee season, please click the subscribe button down below. That way that we can ring that bell when I get the next video up. You'll be notified of it, and then you won't miss it. And I'm more than happy and glad that you're going to come along with me for the 2021 bee season. Let's make it a successful season for everybody, and we'll go from there. So until next time, have a great day, and find your bees.